It's Indianapolis. It's a practice day like any other. But sometimes things happen that you just don't plan for.
Oh, and a hard contact. James Hinchcliffe.
In trauma, you have a golden hour. From the time that the incident happens till the time you're in surgery, you want to get there in that hour. We heard the yellow, yellow, yellow call. We were on the scene with Hinch probably within the first 30 to 40 seconds. He was trapped in the car in his seat, so we got our spreaders, and we kind of heard the car pop a little bit, and we felt some energy release. We went to take him out again, and he was still caught down in there, but it wasn't like he was compressed and tightly fit. It was just he was really heavy. But we did notice at that point that he was bleeding pretty profusely. Finally got him out onto the backboard of the ambulance had brought to us, and I heard a thump in the seat like someone had dropped their radio down in there. Well, I found out later that that thump I heard was actually the suspension part that we pulled him off of had hit the seat.
At the time that they picked me up, he had been maybe 8 to 10 minutes since the accident. Mike said that they had found him in a pool of blood in the car, that he had been pierced by a piece of metal. I thought if we could get him to the trauma center and start transfusing him, he would be okay. By the time we got there and started massively transfusing him, I turned him over and he was in another pool of blood, and I said, that's about it. He's lost quite a bit. By the time we reached the second floor where the operating rooms are, I couldn't feel his pulse anymore. Probably had maybe 1 or 2 minutes left before I lost even his heart rhythm. You lose a pulse on your way to the operating room. It's very seldom you get a person back like that. Got his abdomen open, had some catheters into his groin. When we finally got down to the arteries that were injured, once the vessel was identified and we're able to get just manual control, that I think was the moment when I thought, yeah, I think he'll make it. I think we could get him through this.
When he woke up, I mean, he obviously had the breathing tubes and the whole nine, and I gave him a piece of paper and he was writing, and the first question he asked was, what happened? And I said, you know, your rocker broke, and then the second question was, when can I drive again? You know, and you know, I'm like, it's gonna be a while, buddy. This was a big one. You're lucky to be with us, you know. And being that it was his second question he asked me, that he already had aspirations to still drive. He was not afraid. He was trying to push the envelope as much as he could to come back, and he did just that.
When James first came in to see me June 18th, we had worked for a bit of time with Dr. Pullman, coming up with a game plan of what we could do and what we couldn't do. I was surprised at how much weight he had lost, how weak he was. You know, drivers are not the easiest patients to work with on a rehabilitation program. They want to be somewhere faster than anybody else, so you have to kind of slow them down a little bit and make them understand that this is a marathon. You know, we have a long haul here. They're concerned about, you know, sponsorship or their job, all these fears that come in that maybe they may never get to do this one thing that almost defines them. James is a very goal-oriented person, very structured with that. So I knew going into this program that when we hit these goals, it was a good day. When we didn't, it was a mental setback, but then you got back up the next day or the next week and you did it again. You just kept going. You talk about people being reborn. I think this was James being reborn.
Obviously, something like this is life-changing, and without the help of everybody that was involved, I wouldn't be able to move on, but I can, and I will. That's what we do. You know, we're racers.